Welcome to episode 8 of the Game Caddie tutorials. I'm Scott Moeller, and this is the first of 2 videos on hitting from the trees. In this video, we're going to cover hitting it aggressively and playing it safe. Previously, we covered hitting around trees in episode 6. In the next video, we'll look at clear shots, unplayable lies, and lost balls. Okay. Let's start by taking a look at hitting under a tree. We'll go over here to the Caddie 1 tab, and you can see that we've got Harris English as our APBA golfer. He is sitting at 245, left 30, 1 square in the trees on hole number 3 at Yacht Club. Notice the TU abbreviation in the Caddie notes box under lie. I entered that lie when prompted after his tee shot. Here's the list of abbreviations that let the Game Caddie know that there is other actions that need to be performed. In this case, the TU abbreviation turns off the wind for the next shot per Master Game rules and puts a T over here on the Lies tab into Harris English's Lie Effects dashboard. Okay? Now, you don't need to worry about what that all means, but it does mean something to the Game Caddie, so it is important that when you're in the trees that you do use the appropriate lie type. So under the trees you use TU, and if you're stymied you use TS. Okay, let's go ahead then and take a look at what we do when we are under a tree. So we'll come back to the Lies tab and we'll take a look at what's called the lie adjustments and restrictions table we've got here. If you don't see this table when you come over to the Lies tab, all you have to do is click on that button right there and it will call this table up for you. And we see that when we're in the trees, we're 1 square deep. We have the option of hitting aggressive. We don't always have that option, but if we do have that option available to us, the maximum club that we can use is a 5-iron. We can't aim. We would use the rough column on the club board unless otherwise indicated. If we had a clear shot, then we might have the ability to even hit from the fairway, but we're not going to cover that in this video. So let's go over then to the trees chart, and we can do that by clicking on this button right here. And for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on this column right here. And the next thing I would do is I would click the dice roller here to find out whether or not we're going to have an unplayable lie, whether we have to play safe, whether we have the option of playing safe or aggressive, or whether or not we have a clear shot either from the rough or the fairway. Now, I'm not going to roll this because I want us to be able to have the option of taking an aggressive shot, so I can show you how that procedure works. And by the way, those instructions are listed here right on the screen for you in case you can't remember what I'm showing you in this video. Okay, so let's assume that our dice roll was such that when added to English's scramble number, which is a 3, resulted in a number that was between 15 and 53. If you can't remember whether to add or subtract scramble numbers, there's a little gray box over here that is a reminder of when you add or subtract, and in the case of being in the trees, you add the scramble number. All right, so what we're going to do is hit an aggressive shot. So what we'll then do is come back here and figure out what club we're going to use, keeping in mind that our maximum club is a 5-iron. If we look up here at the WI shot planner, you can see that the pin center line is 210 yards away from his current ball location. And if we look at his average I, it's a 4. And we come down here to a 5-iron, which is the maximum club he can use. That only gets us about 180 when hitting from the fairway, and from the rough, it's more like 175, but with a roll of 10. So that's going to be a grand total of about 185. That's going to leave us well short of the 210 yards where the pin is. So what we're going to do, based on looking at the APBA course board, there's too many bad things that can happen if we just try to grip it and rip it. So we're going to aim for an area that's somewhere between 375 and 400 to the right of the center line, in hopes of setting up an approach shot with a good angle for our third shot. And our pin number for this particular hole is pin number 4, which is on the left side of the center line. But remember now, we can't aim, so all we can do is work the ball in this case, and I'm going to go ahead and put a 10 in for working the ball, which is, again, a little bit risky because we're going to be hitting from the rough, and the club that we're going to use is not a 5-iron, but we're going to go ahead and hit a 7-iron instead. Now I will go ahead and roll just to see what happens here. And a 51 on English's card in the I column is a 4. So I'll click on, this is the rough column. I'm going to click on a 4 over here. And you see that the ball goes 10 to the left. We have the option of using his average I, which would make this 5 to the left instead. I want to go ahead and take advantage of that. So I'll click on this box here, changes that N to a Y. And then we see that for work the ball, he has a 35, and looking at his card, he has also has a 4 for working the ball in the I column. And that's going to be a -5 over here. So when we transfer the shot, we put in -5, click OK. And now we see that he's right on the center line at 395. Now, if we weren't hitting from the trees at this point, what we would do is just go ahead and click on the update button. But because we're hitting from the trees, we don't want to do that. We're going to come back to the Lies tab. Now we do want to roll, and I'll go ahead and do that because it doesn't really matter what the result is for the purpose of this example. He's got a 32. Again, we add 3 to that, so that makes it a 35. Coming over here to the second roll tables, under aggressive, under a tree, a 35 means a -10 carry. So I'll click on that blue box. It applies that -10 up here in the dashboard and essentially into the spreadsheet, if you will, or the workbook. And come back to the Caddie 1 tab, and you can see that instead of going 395, he's actually now gone 385 right on the center line. We've got a roll to apply of 5 yards. We'll go ahead and do that. And now we can click on the update arrow, and we see that 390 on the center line is in the fairway, and now we're going to have a good angle for our approach shot. So everything worked out just as planned. Okay, so that's an example of how to hit from under a tree. Let's go ahead and erase that shot. And we're going to turn off the approach caddy here so that we reset to our previous position. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to play safe. Again, we're doing this from the same location. Now, the Game Caddy gives you the option of playing safe in any direction, and keeping in mind that the tee is always south of the hole. So when we talk about playing safe to the north or playing safe to the south, south would be it playing safe in the direction of the tee. Playing north would be playing in direction towards the hole. The east-west, of course, would be, east would be playing safe essentially to the right, and playing safe to the west would be playing safe to the left relative to the center line. Okay, now let's look at where he is here. And of course, we could play safe back to the center line if we wanted to do that. He's 30 yards away, and so we could call something like 20 yards and play in that direction. And that's what we'll go ahead and do. But another option would be to play to the north, and even though he would likely still end up in the rough, he would be closer to the green because he's always going to be 30 yards away from the center line when he's playing north-south. That is not going to change. Now, as a matter of practice, I limit playing north-south distances to no more than 100 yards, but the Game Caddy will allow you to put any value into the called box here in the Play Safe tool. But we're going to, for the purposes of this example, we're going to do something a little bit more conventional, and we're going to play back to the center line, and I'm going to call that distance at 20 yards. So I will go ahead and put a 20 in there. We'll come back to the Lies tab, and we'll go ahead and roll. And we're going to go ahead and apply, well, we would apply the scramble number of 3, except that when you're dealing with scramble numbers, the numbers 11 and 66 remain unchanged. So what that means is that we're playing safe from under a tree. We're going to click on this box right here for 11. We're not going to add the scramble number. And it says values recorded directly on the Caddy. We'll click on that, come back to the Caddy 1 tab, and you'll see that that 15 has been transferred over here. So we called 20, but actually went 15 yards farther, and that's going to be okay. We'll click on the Play Safe button, and it says, well, what direction were you hitting toward? And we were hitting toward the east, towards the center line. We'll click on OK. And then it tells you what your new coordinates are. So we're at 245 right 5. Looking at the APBA course board, we can see that we're still on the fairway. We'll click on OK. And now that shot is registered for us in the Caddy notes. There is no need to click on the update tool. In fact, don't click on the update tool. You'll add an extra stroke to the total here, and you don't want that. Okay, so that's how you hit aggressively. That's how you play it safe when hitting from the trees. Till next time, grip it and rip it.